we do not talk to our children about issues of sexual assault. We just don't do it. We need to, again, to bring, I learned so much from my daughter, right? She learns a lot from me, I'm sure, but she's 14. I learned a lot from her. Not that I'm ignorant of things like this, but I wasn't even aware that this month was Sexual Assault Awareness Month, right? We're at the end of it. And I couldn't actually really find a way to really talk about any stuff going on. Like how we began to talk about sexual assault awareness was around Kesha, the artist Kesha. She has a case. It's actually pending in California. There was a New York case where she was countersued in New York by her manager. It's a long, basically, you know, she's has described a long-term assault, sexual assault, physical, emotional abuse, mental abuse by her manager. She has a very restrictive contract. I mean, basically preyed on her from the time she was an older teen, you know, wanting to be successful and be a star. So my daughter was talking to me about the New York ruling. And basically, you know, they tried to get around, like, you know, some issues with human rights law because there's a statute of limitation issue in the case. To say that, you know, she was targeted because of her gender. So the judge wrote something like sexual assault, basically is not a gender-based crime. It can happen to anyone. Okay, technically that's true. Technically, anyone can be sexually assaulted. Men are sexually assaulted. It's extremely underreported. But the fact that women are abused, are attacked, are, you know, mistreated at such enormous rates, right? To just sit there and say that it has nothing to do with gender at all, I think is kind of disingenuous. So we had a long conversation on it, but it got me thinking about all of this stuff, right? How many people actually have conversations about things like sexual assault with their kids? Like, so not that if you go and talk to all the kids in the world, it's going to make a difference. It's gonna, you know, stop all the sexual assault, kumbaya, we're saved. No, but if we let kids know, one, that they can talk to us, that they do have a space, and this doesn't go for kids, this goes for adults too, right? Grown women, we need to know that there are spaces where we're able to speak and we will be listened to, because that is a huge problem. You know, sexual assault cases, rape cases, you know, domestic abuse cases, they're severely underreported across all groups, and even more so when we start talking about women of color, particularly Black women, which is going to be the next thing I'm going to talk about. But we can't continue to exist in a society where we do not talk about these things. We cannot continue to exist where we do not give our kids the tools to be complete and engaging, not just on I'm getting mine, I'm making this money level, but that I'm able emotionally and mentally to actually engage with you, that I'm actually able to express myself and what my needs are. You know, we look at, you know, high rates of sexual assault, of rape, of domestic violence, of other forms of abuse against, like I said, particularly Black women that are underreported. Why? Because there is not a sense that anybody's going to do anything. You know, we're disproportionately more likely to be re-victimized or not even taken seriously to begin with, right? We have a severe issue with law enforcement actively engaging on these issues, right? We have real issues of sexual assault, abuse, rape, domestic violence in this country, physical violence in other forms, whether we're talking about, you know, Black women, other women of color, trans women. I mean, seriously, there's a huge issue, and yet we have prosecutors who are prosecuting children for sexting.